Okay, so today we want to speak to you about why we regret the rise of advertisement-based business models, and we're going to basically talk about 2 points. We're going to explain to you first of all why we think that the business that are based on advertisement are infringing on the privacy or individuals on a large basis. We're going to explain to you why the impacts of this point of basically 3 parts. First of all, what is the potential abuse that might occur from this gathering of information. Second of all, why this infringement on the privacy is also harming for the individual for the individuals themselves. And after that, if I will have more time, I will also explain to you why try to already minimize the opposition point about accessibility, about people, minorities don't have access to businesses otherwise, and etc. So let's go into our case. So first of all, when we're talking about those businesses that are based on advertisers, I want to explain to you that those businesses are usually infringing on your privacy on a large basis. They're gathering information about what are you interested in. It means like what kind of TV shows you like, what kind of books you read, what kind of people you're interested in, places that you are going. It means that a lot of time those kind of businesses actually track your movements. They're tracking where you're going, with whom you're going there, and they can collect this huge amount of data regarding your everyday life, your everyday location, your friends, family, etc. Now, why do we think this is really harmful? So first of all, we believe that this actually harms your own privacy. Why? Because the fact that you yourself a lot of time knows that somebody is watching you, somebody is always tracking you. It means that a lot of time you feel less open and less engaged in this platform. And it's critical, especially on platforms like Google and Facebook, because those are the platforms that you usually use to explore your personalities, to check some sorts of interest, to gather information about things that you do not know today. And this is why it's harmful, because you will be much less prone to actually explore yourself and explore those kind of things in these platforms. Now, second of all, we want to say to you that the opportunity of leak or abuse of this information is huge. We can see it today when we see governments like the government in Israel and our prime minister, who says that he uses those sorts of information today in order to fight the coronavirus, in order to see where you went to. We saw this breach of information in the UK when the Black Cube company used the information gathered by Google and Facebook in order to leak this information to politicians who afterwards use this for their campaigns, to target specific population, to spread fake news, and etc. Now we see that the opportunities of this of what people can actually do with this sort of information are huge, because are huge and are very harmful for the individual himself. And this is why we believe this is worse. Now, now we can see that first of all, this sort of information can leak, but moreover, it can simply be used in times like this by people with power, by people with money, like the government, like the companies, and etc. Now, this is why we think this is really bad. Now, we think that the opposition might tell us that that you are accepting your membership on those sites. You're going in knowingly, and hence you are sort of giving away your right to privacy because you check the I accept box, etc. We believe that this is not true. This is not true, because usually when Facebook or Google ask to track your movements and etc., it's usually written in small letters after a huge page with many sections, and most of us don't really read those sorts of web pages. We just scroll down, click I accept, and go forward. Now, moreover, with cases of huge companies such as Google and Facebook, they become the normative site. They become sort of a site that you need to have in order to be socially accepted. It's usually seem weird if someone doesn't have a Facebook today at work, or a lot of work corporations actually use Facebook and Gmail in order to Facebook and Gmail in order to try to do their businesses with you. They ask for your email, for your Gmail at work, or for your Facebook account at work. Do we have any POIs? No. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yes, please.
Assuming that in alternative we'll still have Facebook, Google, and other social networks who are interested in collecting your information in order to sell it to the other companies, why your principle is exclusive in this for this motion?
Okay, because we think in the comparative, Facebook can work not on an advertisement-based model. Facebook can, if we are regretting this, if we want to change the way businesses are working the world, Facebook can charge money from its users. Facebook can charge $5 a month from every user in order to still operate and still work, and hence and not gather this huge amount of information. The algorithms can work in. So I'm not a tech person, but I assume that the algorithms can work on a different sort of basis. They don't need to track your everyday movements. They don't need to track your preferences and stuff like this. They can work on stuff that you like questionnaires that you fill in and etc. So Facebook can work on different models. It doesn't have to track your everyday movements and base this advertisement, because I think maybe I missed something. Because basically to make the advertisement specially fitted for you, they are tracking your interests and stuff like this, so the advertisement can fit you. This is basically how the algorithm of businesses that work on advertisement works, because they want you to be interested in those ads and not just give you general advertisement. So time. Okay, so basically now some sort of preemptive to the question of accessibility. So I already said that we believe that Facebook and Google can still work if they will charge like $5 a month from people, and we believe that even in like free world countries and stuff like this, and places where it's even more, the internet is even more important, we believe that first of all the prices there are cheaper, because businesses usually make themselves approachable to different populations in different countries. But moreover, we believe that those who actually have time and those who actually have the tech base to use Facebook, Google, and stuff like this, a computer or a smartphone, an accessible internet network, those people usually also have the ability to pay those $5 a month for Facebook or for Google, and can continue to use it tomorrow. I'm sorry, I don't have time. It stopped. Do you know
Yeah, it's time. Sorry.
It's time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So that's amazing time management for me. Okay, so to sum up, please vote OG.
Okay, thank you for that speech. For the next speech, I invite the leader of opposition. Have 7 minutes.
So thank you. So the one point of opening government is about decision making in political process, political way, when political elections. But we can see the ads-based business is not the unique way to affect for people's decision. In comparative, another media can affect to the decisions of people. For example, by billboards in the street, by TV shows, by TV news, by stars. Also politicians can affect to the decisions of people. So we can say that the harm of opening government about affecting during the elections is not unique in this case. The second way, secondly, we think it's not deeply harm, because society affect for your decisions in the elections. For example, friends, your films, internet, also family also can affect for your decision making. That that your education can affect for your decision making. The third rebuttal is your preference that Google give your private information for another politicians, but this is your private preferences. So it's not so deeply because it's your choice. If you look for surfing in the internet about Trump's policy that Google give this information to the Trump, it's not matters because this is your choice. It's so the first point is about why. The second rebuttal is about private information, but in case private information do not affect to your life directly. So if Google now your preferences or another name or another information, another, still you can choose your choices directly by yourself. For example, Google can give this information for businessmen, but businessmen can sell their products in two worlds, but in the but we don't think that consumers is the important actor in this game, in this debate, because consumers in alternative world also buy any products by advertisement. We have 2 points about accessible of information, the services. The second is benefits for small businesses. First of all, we have to frame. This is debate is about tech companies like like Google, like Facebook. They have more products. For example, YouTube or Hangouts for YouTube. They're very useful for educative goals, for entertainment goals, for business goals. YouTube has many tutorials for lectures for young people. So it's very important. Our first argument, the answer for the preventive, their services will not cheap because they will expensive because there are many this is a very competitive market, Google, Facebook, because they have another companies like Apple Pay, or Apple, for example, Google Pay will be competitor for Apple Pay, or another Korean or Chinese companies. For example, so the second thing they have they need for innovative, because tech market is very innovative and need innovations and need more money for innovations, because Google has to win another companies by artificial intelligence, for example. So it's very competitive market. They have more money. And and even if they had another alternative ways of profit, they will be more expensive. So it will be not available for poor people, for young people, for children from poor people's ghettos. So it's in comparative. They cannot pay. They can pay for internet $5, but they cannot pay every month like subscribes for YouTube, subscribes for Netflix, like that, right? So this information is very useful for this group of people because they are vulnerable and they cannot get they cannot get lectures from the lecturers of top universities. In the status quo, they can get these lectures and education, and they can these knowledges for their education. It's very important. The second argument is small business. In the comparative, in the world of paid service, small businesses need more clients, more consumers, but they have to advertise their product. So in the status quo, for small businesses, help Instagram's target advertisement because they give $5 for Instagram and they get more consumers. But in the alternative way, they pay more money for billboards. They pay more money for advertising managers because they have to analyze the market themselves because Google or Facebook do not for your business and they have no information about their account. So you have to yourself analyze the market. So you can you give more money for advertisement. Thank you.
So can I start? I'm ready to go.
Yes, thank you for that speech. I invite the Deputy Prime Minister 7 minutes.
And okay, so my main point in the speech is going to be why we will see less competition actually in the current world. On the comparative, we will have more competition. It will be divided into two sub-points, A, about advertising, and B, about the monopoly of data and so on. But first, let's have some points of rebuttal. So what do we hear from OO? They say, but no, other people can influence your decisions, like your family and the media and so on, and thus Facebook and Google are not unique in that sort. We do acknowledge that we are not born into vacuum, but this is a unique tool in order that actually prevent reasoned discussion rather than goes into manipulation. Why? Because this is quite different from regular discussion on the family when you're eating supper or on the media, because they have loads of information about you that is like quite unique to the extent that they know stuff about you that you don't even know about yourself. Which post did you interacted with along the way? Which post specifically did you like? Which pages are you are following, to the extent that they know what kind of information is more appealing to you, what subjects you don't agree or know about enough, and so on. So this is a really easy way to manipulate you and show you stuff that like is really compelling to you, to the extent that you are not able to control the flow of information, and that can be used in manipulative ways. And thus we think that ability to manipulate people, and in many cases show them fake news and so on, it leads to much more manipulation, which is not reasoned, and thus is really helpful to the system as a whole, because it prevents people from making knowledgeable decisions and so on. And usually, specifically as Anna described, the people use that are like most powerful companies that have enough money to manipulate the system. In addition to that, they say, but no, you agree to the terms of Google and Facebook, and thus it's okay. Two things: A, this is a preferred motion, and B, even if you agree, this is like not like really agreeing to that. Why? Because what Anna told you about, the fact that Facebook and Google becomes the new standard that you cannot function without, and thus you don't have real choice. In addition to that, most of the agreements are made like in long, complicated legal language that people don't understand, don't have enough time to read, and so on. So we don't think that this is like really agreeing to that. In addition to that, they say, but no, people won't have accessibility, ignoring everything Anna talked about, or the fact that companies lower prices in like in poor countries. In addition to that, like Facebook have 2 fucking billion users. If each and every one paid $1, it would be much more money than Facebook is already making right now. So we think like this is a better alternative model. In addition to that, we are willing to sacrifice some accessibility in the world in situation in which the accessibility is causing much harm to the world, to the political system, to people privacy, and so on. But let's engage in our substantive about less competition and why this would be really bad. About the advertisement market. So OO comes up to us and says, no, this would be really good for small companies. It would enable more competition. We think this is false because they operate under like the past in a situation where small companies would able to make like this a really good advertisements that would catch and people would know about your new brand and so on. We think that actually, nowadays, you can't have the share in the market without paying loads of money. For example, Facebook with the new feed, and it's becoming worse and worse. If you don't pay money, your page won't get covered. People won't see you on your feed. That means that only big companies have enough money to spend on the advertisement market. In addition to that, many times what's more important rather than people just seeing your advertisements is about the data analyze that they have on you. In order to have that, you need to have big data, people that work for you in order to analyze how your advertisement would be much more efficient and so on. We think that that is a unique tool that only big companies have on a disproportionate way that they have on you, and thus Facebook operate under a situation which is preventing competition in the market and not causing more competition. Okay, so to my next point. So they claim that no, this would be much more competition and so on. So why do we think that there would be a monopoly against, nowadays we are already seeing a monopoly on data collecting. So we think that, for example, they say, no, there is a lot of companies competing against Google and against Facebook. No, we think that the way to actually define a monopoly is on their specific market. What do I mean by that? The examples of like Chinese Facebook or Chinese Google, for example, are not fit because they're able to make competition only on different countries based on like cultural differences and language differences. That means that it's a totally completely different markets to begin with. That's why they're able to compete. They're not really competing on the same customers, but Facebook, for example, have the monopoly on Western countries. Like they have WhatsApp, they have Instagram, and they have obviously their own Facebook, and no one competes over there. Why? Because if you want to initiate a new, like even Google, fucking big a company couldn't compete with Google specifically on social media. Why? They started Google Plus, but everyone was already on Facebook and on Instagram, and thus when someone like made their new account, people won't join because everyone else is already on the other social media network, and thus like the monopoly enhances itself just by being there, so people keep on joining the current one. It's true as well for Google, for example. Like major companies like Microsoft, like Yahoo couldn't compete with Google. Why? Because Google, in addition to their own engine, have Google Maps, have Google Gmail, and all the rest of the stuff that they provide for you. And they are all connected and synchronized to the extent that you can't function. I mean, if you have Gmail, you would like to use it on your Google account, that they would remember your history and preferences and so on. And that's how they target you on the advertisement, and they gain much more money through advertising, through collecting your data and then giving it to other companies. And that is a unique, harmful tool that prevent people from going into the market. It puts barriers in the ability for other companies to compete, and that's really harmful. And that's why we prefer a situation in which they don't have that data, and they rather get paid monthly for the services that they provide for us. For that reason, go for OG. Thank you.